Hey everyone, welcome back to the Above the Yellow Line live show on a Thursday night. Got the merch, got the drip, whether we're wearing it or it's behind us, proudly displayed above theyellowline.com. Go to the store. But thanks for joining us this Thursday. Of course, there's a lot of racing news to talk about. We'll talk a little bit maybe about the Indy 500. I know, practice sessions have been happening. There's already been some drama, I guess, surrounding that, but just really good to see them on track the month of May and hyping up for that event. And obviously, a lot of NASCAR news and recaps to happen. But of course, I'm joined by Dom Joseph. Dom, how are you?
I'm good.
The princess.
It's been a good week. Yeah.
Good.
Hoping we get the All-Star race in this weekend. Weather is not looking very helpful, but we'll see. It's
Yeah.
fresh paved North Wilkesboro, so all kinds of variables.
Very excited. And trucks this weekend for points. And that, I think last year that was a really fun event. So I'm excited.
Yeah.
There's a lot of drivers that are going to be in that event that I'm looking forward to seeing a few making their debuts in the series. So should be pretty cool. Also, if you guys have questions during the show or topics you want to have us discuss, just use hashtag #AskATYL and we'll make sure to try to get to your questions. It's just easier for me to see if you guys use a hashtag. But as we go through the lineup, I'll tell you guys the lineup today, obviously recapping Darlington, closing our thoughts there. Then we'll go on to news about charter rumors, the bracket challenge, also talking about some 2025 schedule announcements and or rumors. Some news about the TV broadcast for next year as well. And then, of course, previewing the All-Star race just a little bit. So let's get into our Darlington recap, kind of looking over what that looks like. So we'll get to the points for us here at Above the Yellow Line. Dom, I think you actually did make up ground. It might not look like it, but
I gained
you did.
6 points.
Yeah.
I think it was minus 90 last week. So
there you go.
Yeah.
Not bad.
So,
This is Adam's third win in a row, though. He picked Hamlin every single time. So that makes sense.
I am not doing well, but you know what? We tried something new this year. We're going to commit all the way to the end of the year with the strategy, and then we're only picking Toyotas next year.
Because the strategy almost worked for you last year.
It did.
Almost worked. So, yeah, because you got the regular season championship or just.
I've got one missed week this year,
Yeah.
so that didn't help either. But that was my own fault. So,
yeah,
right. It's a tight race from first to third, but after that, it's just
God.
I can still race.
Because Adam at the beginning of the year, like probably the first 6 races or something, he was like second to last or third to last, and then after racking up all these wins, I mean, if I have one more bad week, I think I'm gone from first. So kind of nervous.
We're not picking this week, right? For All-Star.
Yes, we are not picking for the All-Star race because it's not a points-paying race. But we will be back picking yet again for the 600, and we'll talk a little bit about that at the end of the show as well. But so this is where we all stand right now. And then, of course, the driver's points. This is a win I think we've all been waiting for. At least I have been. I'm going to be a little biased here. I love seeing when Brad Keselowski wins a race. It's been way too long. So the fact that he finally won this weekend at Darlington with an exciting, I think, into the race. And for me, it was a really action-packed race. Was awesome. So great to see him back in victory lane. Congrats to everyone at RFK. Of course, his teammate kind of got the raw end of the deal there, battling with Tyler Reddick for those last few laps. But I don't know, Dom, what stood out to you about this race, or even if you want to talk about that end of the race between Reddick and
what stood out to me is it was another fantastic race.
Yeah.
The NASCAR Cup Series is we talk about the last couple of years where it's like, man, Cup is the pinnacle, but the Xfinity Series is where all the action is. It's been so much fun watching the Xfinity, but it is unquestionably Cup this year, and that's how it should be. The people are tuning in to see what's going to happen next, and I absolutely love it. The Goodyear 400 was great. It was a great race. Seeing that battle between those 3 guys and seeing how hard they were racing, and because of that, third place was able to just stay just close enough that they could pounce. And sure enough, when Reddick and Buescher went up into the wall, Keselowski was there to pick up the pieces. And that was after he pretty much used up all his stuff trying to pass Reddick. So it was just an awesome, awesome race. And it's just crazy to me to think that Keselowski won his championship. We're closing in on 12 years since Keselowski won his championship.
God,
back in
yeah.
2012. And I remember that year so vividly. It really was, I say it all the time, it was the year that saved my fandom for NASCAR. And I know they did that "You Kids Don't Know"
Oh, yeah,
segment.
yeah, yeah.
I think it was last year they did it, but like seriously, if you're new to NASCAR, you have no idea what Keselowski was all about when he first started in this sport, because he dethroned the king, Jimmy Johnson. Uh, he had a slump year in 2011, but 2012 he came right back, looking like he was going to get his 6th championship in 7 years. And Keselowski stayed in the ring and went shot for shot with him and took him all the way to Homestead and won the title. So outright, it was the last true championship fight, in my opinion. I know Kenseth and Jimmy had a good battle the next year, but it was so good all the way to the end. But yeah, people forget Keselowski dethroned Goliath in his
Yeah.
own game. So yeah, it was awesome to see Brad get back to victory lane, end that losing streak, because none of us wanted to see him go out with that long of a losing skid. And to do it at Darlington too just shows you how good he is.
Yeah, I mean, Darlington's one of the toughest tracks on the schedule, and with Brad in particular, I personally did not feel like it was going to be his last win in the Cup Series. Their equipment at RFK is, in my opinion, too competitive for him to not be back in victory lane. We've seen his teammate Chris Buescher in victory lane a few times last year. This year, he's been in second place twice, and it's been a grueling battle of, okay, when is our equipment going to be fast enough? And by the way, this past weekend, half of the top 10 were Fords, and you all are right in the comments. It's Ford's first win in the top 3 national series. I think this is the first weekend where we finally saw the OEM be kind of stable across the board, which was welcoming at a track that's not a super speedway. So very happy for him. In all of that, I'm thrilled. The one thing though to mention too is that battle between Reddick and Chris Buescher. We talked about it during the Above the Yellow Line show this week that we released on Sunday night, talking about the race and recapping it. Dom, what were your thoughts on that move by Reddick? Do you think it was just, oversight, shot for the win, too aggressive, didn't work? Or is it just, what are your thoughts?
I know everyone's going to say, well, Reddick's already got a win in the bag. Why doesn't he just save his stuff and settle for second? He doesn't get paid to settle for second. Michael Jordan doesn't want him to settle for second. Denny Hamlin doesn't want him to settle for second, because that race winning paycheck is going to make that company a lot of money in a era where having as much as you can is the most important thing. So I'm all for the move Reddick did. It didn't work. And he even
Nope.
said, like, as soon as he realized it wasn't going to work, he tried to bail himself out, and it didn't work. So it's a shame that it totaled Buescher's car for the most part, or just junked him. It junked both of them. But they get paid to go for the win. They don't get paid to just run around and say, "Yeah, we'll take the points today. We'll take second." It doesn't work like that anymore. You can get away with that in the 2000s, the 2010s, the early 2010s, but it doesn't work like that anymore. You have to go for the win. You have to get the money. You have to do what you can to keep the company afloat.
And not to push back on that, but to add some depth to it as well. Obviously, you need the winning cash, right? Because in today's climate in the sport, I mean, money is everything. However, we've also seen like Denny Hamlin the past few seasons go for those wins, maybe make mistakes, maybe not do what he needs to do. And then when it comes down to Martinsville, he's like 5 points shy of getting into the championship four and fighting for a championship. So when he's gone to get a win, it's backfired on him sometimes to where he's not in contention for that championship at the last race of the year. So it is a balance. It really is. And I mean, Reddick this time chose to go for the win because, I mean, it was right there. It was in his sights. I feel like, quite honestly, at the end of the day, he did have the better car. But once you get to the lead, you're side drafting off each other. It is very hard to make a pass and make it stick. And we saw that all day long at Darlington, whether it was, I don't know, Larson, who ran up front most of the race until it was unfortunate. When he had a tire go down after making contact with, I think, Byron or something like that. Or he was taken 3 wide, got into the wall, something like that. So that was unfortunate there too, but it's a balance of what you go for, what you don't go for. But I think it was a risk that Reddick, I don't see anything wrong with him taking that risk.
Yeah, and I think too, Reddick doesn't make that move if he just arrives on the scene for the first time in the race and is in position to have a good finish. He dominated that race. He led he led that race all the way through and through. So I think that's part of it. It's like I got to finish the job here.
Yeah.
They don't care that I led the most laps in this race. They want me to win. It's like I don't want to hang my hat on that. So I can see that being a factor as well.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, again, there's so many reasons as to why a driver will make the move they do. I hate it for Chris Buescher because, again, like he doesn't have that win sticker on his car yet. He's still searching for it. He's right now like on the points, like he's decent, he's fine, but you want to be secure. You want to be locked in. But a racing deal, hey, if they have a battle for $1 million, take it out on each other then. Why not? Sure. Perfect week to do it, right? But
yeah, honestly.
Yeah. So
I think it would have
anywho.
been interesting if we got to that scenario with the laps winding down, if Buescher was in the lead and Keselowski was second.
That would have
I
been
wonder what would have happened.
Well, because here's the thing, we've seen that scenario quite often last year where we've seen Brad be a really good teammate and push Chris to the victory or race him respectfully. But at this point, it's also like, okay, they both
Yeah.
had an equal shot. So, and even then too, like if Reddick and Buescher didn't collide, I still think Brad would have had a chance to get around.
Yeah.
Potentially just with the run that he had behind. But it was a great race.
Yep.
I think it was one of my favorite races of the year because it didn't come down to a green white checker. There was no late race caution per se. It was just a clean, fun race to the end. So I appreciated it a lot.
Yeah. It was a great show for sure. And
Yeah.
just it did Darlington proud.
Yeah. Whew. Cool. All right. We'll close out our Darlington talk. Oh yeah, by the way, Adam, totally agree with you here. His car was so beautiful. The throwback. It was better in person.
Team and raw speed. I think that was the best car that RFK has given Keselowski in a good while. I mean, as soon as they unloaded, they were fast.
Agree. And Danny brings up a good point too. We can talk about before we move on to some charter rumors. But we started talking about it last week, but here we go. But do you think that RFK Racing is the best Ford team right now? Danny Alex says, I think so. Dom, what do you think? Because I'm a little bit yes, a little bit hold your horses, pun intended.
It's close. It's close. I can see the argument without a doubt because they have really turned it around. But Team Penske's still the back-to-back defending champions.
Right.
So I think there's something you can be number one when you take it from them. No one's taken it from them yet. And I mean, we saw with Ryan Blaney last year, all it takes is a good playoff run to be the champion in this era. So we will decide the best Ford team in November. We can't decide it right now. Because I mean, remember, this time last year, we were all convinced it was either Denny or Byron that was going to be the champion. And neither of them won it. One of them didn't even go. So
I mean, and that's the point exactly.
There's no point in arguing until we get to November.
Exactly. Till November or even until the playoffs start. Because we thought Chris Buescher had a chance to be a dark horse championship 4 pick. And then when the playoffs started, RFK kind of crumbled. So as of right now, are they the best Ford team? Sure. I mean, they got to win. Their stats in terms of even Brad's average finishes across the past 6 weeks. I talked about this again in the full race recap, but it's the best of most of the Ford drivers. He's rivaling Ryan Blaney in that category. Chris Buescher has been showing up, going to the front, but even look at like SHR. I know they might not be the best performing Ford team, but it's hard to not look at Noah Gregson's performance, what he's been able to do. Josh Berry had a great past few weeks. Even Chase Briscoe, so I don't know. Justin Haley did really well too this past weekend as well. Top 10 finish, 9th place, I believe. So
it was just a good weekend all around for Ford Performance, and one that they
great weekend.
Desperately needed.
They desperately needed it for sure. But no, I would say right now, if you want an answer, I believe yes. But in the long run, are they? Time will tell. So cool. Well,
this is only their first win of the year. So
it's only the first.
We've got a ways to go.
Yeah. Like ask us in maybe 6 weeks again and we'll tell you. Cause you get into that summertime where maybe teams have a summer slump. Some teams figure it out, but I think this was a good showing. But speaking of Ford, let's transition on to some of our NASCAR news. Let me get rid of this presentation. I don't want that up on the screen anymore. There you go. Hi. Okay. Charter rumors. So there were some rumors that were debunked today. The first rumor, before we get into the SHR conversation, is that Colleague and Trackhouse were going to merge. Somehow that somewhere on social media, the rumor started, whether it was somebody said something, heard something on the inside, whatever. Chris Rice basically shut that rumor down today on Sirius XM saying, quote, "We are not merging. We're not doing anything like that. We're going to be here a long time." So if you counted on that happening, don't. I know we talked about previously, I believe this was last week, Dom, but there's a potential that maybe they partner in a sense to where maybe Trackhouse gets that 16 charter, or they place Zane Smith in that seat and it's just another kind of loan situation. I don't know if there's any other silly season rumors that you were thinking of. I know SHR, the whole charter conversation, them maybe selling all their assets as reported by Matt Weaver, and even Bob Pockrass reported some things. I don't know if there's anything you were heightened about in particular.
So I'll
These
let you
rumors.
answer this for me because I know you monitor social a little bit closer than I do in
Mhm.
terms of just NASCAR news. Um, I've heard the rumors about Stewart Haas Racing maybe selling some charters. I've just heard the rumors of charters being available, but what I haven't seen or heard a lot of is the junior motorsports conversation. And
Yes.
would they finally entertain it? Um, I I hope he doesn't personally. I don't want him to come up the cup because
Ooh, why?
look what it's done to Colleague.
I mean, yeah,
That's my
that's
worry.
true.
That's just my worry because now you're putting too many eggs in the basket.
Mhm.
And yeah, they have mastered Xfinity. They've mastered the budget for Xfinity, and Cup is
It's
just a whole
true.
nother monster. And at this point, like right now, you would only want to get into Cup so you can hold the charter for a couple years and sell it to get your money back and double it.
And
So
that's the thing, like, right now you're trying to sell charters so you can bring money back in. I mean, that's
yeah,
the benefit.
exactly. So honestly, when it comes to charters, I mean, first thing I think of is, well, Spire's going to buy another one because it's all they do.
No
All they do
doubt.
is buy charters. Um, yeah, I would imagine Trackhouse is going to get one for Zane Smith. If there
Yeah.
are charters open, I would imagine Trackhouse will get one. Um, I hope Stewart Haas doesn't fully exit. I hope they keep themselves in the sport because it's good for NASCAR to have that name in the sport.
Mhm.
Um,
I
and
will say,
especially like I think about Noah Gregson too, who's finally getting his
yeah,
feet under him, and then the team's going to shut their doors. That would just suck.
because what I heard was either they're gutting everything completely, selling both their buildings, etc., or they're just going to sell their cup operation, keep Xfinity. But then again, obviously these are all rumors, speculation through the grapevine, what people are hearing. But then you have, like you said, Noah Gragson, who's finally found his footing. He really clicks with SHR. That opportunity might not be there for him in
Mhm.
2025. Josh Berry just moved to this team. Ryan Priest joined their team, what, last year? Full time for finally
Last year.
again, or was that 2 years? Yeah, last year. So a lot of their drivers are newer, and then they're going to have to find their footing yet again, which that sucks. So I mean, I want them to stay in the sport for sure. I will say on the topic of Dale Jr., and some of y'all might have heard this today. I believe it was Sirius XM, but Dale basically said we're not like he's basically said like we're not necessarily actively looking like with like the intent, but we are, keeping our ears to doors. We're hearing things out. We're trying to see if something might work, but it's not like a pressing issue. Basically, like if it happens, it happens. If we find something that makes sense, we'll do it.
Yeah, that
But he's
sounds
not like
more like if we hear a number that we can do, we'll do it.
yeah.
So
Yeah, I mean, and some of y'all mentioned too, like some drivers that might be in the hot seat that could be in a contract year. I mean, Daniel Suarez, um, obviously, he has that win in Atlanta. That was awesome. But since that race, you're right. He hasn't really done much, to be honest with you. You got other drivers too. Yeah, like Harrison Burton in the 21, talking about that. Like maybe some of the SHR drivers get funneled to there because the rumor is likely that Harrison Burton is not going to return to the 21. So, I mean, obviously, as time goes on and the charter negotiations settle and silly season news, the dominoes keep falling, we're going to know more, I'm sure, towards this summer, because that's typically when things like blow up and we get all the news at
Yeah,
once.
they're falling a little faster this year compared to last
Yeah.
year, at least.
Yeah, because I think right now, what's kind of insane to me is with the whole charter talks and teams that are looking to maybe exit the sport in the selling of charters. Like you said, we typically saw it towards the middle or end half of last season. We're seeing it very early on, um, which I can't tell you why, but it's making things very interesting. Like even too, Michael McDowell announcing he's going to Spire next year, this early in the season when he has so much longer to go. That puts the team in a very awkward position.
Yeah,
So, hey, it's interesting.
business.
Um, let's see. I see Stuart Haas becoming Honda's factory team if Honda decides to leave IndyCar for NASCAR. I mean, there's a chance that because Stuart Haas is yet to up their contract with Ford, if Honda or another OEM decides to get into NASCAR, like maybe we could see teams changing. That seems like it could be a likely scenario, maybe if SHR decides to stay.
I have also heard the argument that Honda wants to get out of IndyCar.
I have heard that too. That's a very strong rumor, argument, opinion. Yeah. So I don't know. It'll be interesting. In terms of will Honda be competitive if they do go to NASCAR, we don't know that. I don't know. It's all going to depend, right?
Mhm.
So we'll see. Yeah, but I love seeing everyone's like speculation in the comments of like, well, Gragson could go here or there if SHR closes their doors. I mean, it's a guessing game, right?
Yeah.
Uh, yeah, very interesting. I want to see if I think I pinned a comment. I think we already see Danny Alex said there are also rumors that many teams are paying attention to Gragson. Apparently RCR was talking about him. I mean the partnership makes sense, but even like Noah Gregson's performance at a team that has not performed well the past few years, I mean, it's going to turn heads. So if anything, if he is, able to be contracted out next year, I'm sure that teams are paying very close attention to it.
Right.
So I want to see if there's any other. I think that was it for the charter rumors for right now. Silly season rumors that I had at least looked at through social media, etc. today. Let's talk about the bracket challenge because that's kind of fun, something new. Obviously, we all kind of recognize it from Denny Hamlin's idea last year.
That was the name of Denny's thing, was bracket challenge. It's in
Yeah,
season tournament to avoid any copyright.
yeah. So I don't know if in my opinion, Denny basically birthed this, but I know there's some, background in this. Obviously, like we noticed this, like the NBA has like an in-season tournament, stuff like that. So like there's things that are familiar to this, but with NASCAR, they announced a bracket style head-to-head challenge that'll take place during the TNT portion of the 2025 NASCAR Cup Series schedule. There will be $1 million winner. In case you don't know how it works, they're going to seed the brackets based off of the last 3 races of the Amazon Prime schedule, which takes place right before TNT. And then, of course, they'll put drivers head to head. Whoever finishes higher during one of those matches in a race will move on to the next round until we basically get to our winner who wins $1 million. So another complexity added onto the season because, again, in my opinion, and I talked about this too during the week, it kind of can split the team's focuses. I mean, you want to make sure you're getting playoff points. You want to win races. Some teams that might not be in line to race in the All-Star race earlier in the year. I mean, I guess you're trying to weigh your options at that point of what is your priority, and then you throw an extra $1 million that could be really good for a smaller team. And maybe some drivers might make some decisions that they might otherwise not have made in a regular mid-season situation. So I think it adds a twist, a fun twist, quite honestly.
Yeah, I think so too. I like the idea. It's like
That sounds very hesitant.
it's the closest thing to the Noble 5 we're gonna get.
Yeah.
For anyone that remembers that. So it's a cool idea. It gives us something to pay attention to during middle of the year when we're kind of just racing to race.
Yeah.
But I like it. I think it's a cool idea. It's my one fear was that it was going to have some sort of points adjustment for it, but it doesn't, and that's great.
Right.
Just let them race, and whatever the outcome is, we'll take it from there. It doesn't affect the playoffs. Yeah, no point changes. The points are paid out completely normal. This is kind of just like on the side kind of deal. It's like, oh, by the way, you finished higher than this guy, so you're off onto the next round of this little tournament we're doing. Okay, cool, awesome.
Sportico did report that in the future it could play into playoffs potentially, but as of right now, No change in how it does not impact the playoffs. This bracket challenge does not.
Yeah.
FYI. Let's see. And then that leads into the other part of all of this is the schedule, like TV schedule and how everything is going to work out next year. Of course, TV schedule translates to the actual race schedule for 2025. So the first race of each TV outlet, I think, essentially was announced. So the Daytona 500 is going to be on February 16th on Fox. The Coke 600 on May 25th is going to be on Prime, is the first race that Prime will have that season. Remember, Dale Jr. is going to be in the Prime booth and TNT booth. TNT's first race is Atlanta in June. And then right after that, you have NBC taking over. And then Phoenix, of course, will host the championship race again, which I know we're all so thrilled about. But that said, yeah, the Prime being the host of the 600 this year, I think that's very interesting. You're starting off with one of the biggest races of the year with a new broadcast partner. That's a lot of pressure. That's just my opinion on it. I'm excited to see how it goes. I mean, we won't be watching the broadcast. We'll all be there next year, maybe. Who knows? But just crazy.
I'm gonna look something up real quick. I just want to see
Go for
this for this year. Not the 600. Let's see really quickly. Darlington. There we go. Okay. So the Southern 500's on USA. It's not on NBC. So I guess it's not national. You can't really consider that national television.
See, I'm already going to be confused for next year too, because again,
But
you got
the problem is a crown jewel race is not on television. A crown jewel race is not on national television.
Yep.
And that is not a good thing at all.
No,
and again, it's like almost every person has Prime to begin with.
Yeah.
But I don't get that at all.
And
I get why we want to have Prime races. I get that. And I'm okay with that. But you can't let a crown jewel not be on national television. That's a huge loss of money unless Amazon's paying billions to the
That's
sport.
My thought process. It's like Amazon either has to be paying the loss or they're banking off of, people getting subscriptions, because then like TNT is going to have all the in-car cam footage, right? For the season for 2025.
I think so, or Max,
I believe Max will. And then again, that's splitting the audience. We don't know where to get anything. Like I'm already confused, and this hasn't even all happened yet. It starts in 2025. But it's going to force you to get a subscription for the entire year, not just those 5 races. It forces you to get an entire subscription. And I do appreciate, though, like I saw, what was it? TNT or Prime was doing like a series of documentaries. That's going to be really cool. They look like they're putting in the effort, they're putting in the time, which is awesome. Like they look like they're really excited to cover NASCAR, and I'm stoked about it. But it's also a big cost to the fans in terms of confusion, terms of money. So
the only argument I can think of, like, it's a double-edged sword for sure, because like I have to remind myself of where I grew up, and I was in an area where I could only watch on TV. I couldn't just go to the race.
Yeah.
The one argument could be, well, if you want to see it so bad, buy tickets and go see the race in person, where there's no commercials. It's commercial free and you're there. But I relied on TV to keep up with the sport my whole life.
Exactly.
And now, like, my first thought is like, well, I wouldn't be able to watch this at Papa's house because he doesn't have Prime. And I watched all of my favorite races at my Papa's house.
Yeah.
So it's the new age. It's all about money. But
I mean, your money also has a point too. Like there's so many series that had the races back then.
I'm watching. Yeah, I think so far I'm watching 1999 right now, but I watched 98, 97 before that. And yeah, it was literally CBS had the Daytona 500, and then they would do ESPN, which would also run some of their races on ABC. And then TNN, which is now TNT, had races, and they would sometimes race on TBS, which also had a completely different broadcast booth. So like there were so many different channels that had NASCAR back in the day. And it was very bizarre because like they were spread all over the place. Like it would be like ESPN for the bulk, but like CBS had all the crown jewels. and TNN had a handful of races here and there, like just spread out through the year. So at least we've got it like Fox has this, Prime has this, TNT, NBC. So at least it's like that.
It's organized. It's like it's organized chaos in a sense. And I will say, Trackside Views, thanks for sharing this. You can get a free month of Prime with a new email address that would cover at least like 4 races. Like for me to watch some of the NASCAR races, I got like 3 different emails to watch on like YouTube TV to get things free for like at least 3 weeks. But I mean, it's a start, at least with that. But again, the long-term cost. Somebody did bring up a really interesting idea, and I used to think this was actually a really good idea, and then now I think it's kind of maybe a bad idea depending on how it's done. But do you think NASCAR will get its own streaming service? I'm thinking obviously not until like 2031, but
well, with the CW running Xfinity, that's all basically that's all out of the NASCAR production building. So it's on the CW, but it is like NASCAR is producing the entire Xfinity Series season.
Yeah.
It's just landing on the CW. So you could pretty much consider that like the beta for what could end up being the streaming service for NASCAR. I think they're going to work all the kinks out first on the CW for Xfinity.
Yeah, which I'm excited that they're going to be exclusive on one platform. Like, that's so cool. I love that.
I just remember, though, we're talking about all the different channels the Cup races on. Oh, and then also on the CW is all the Xfinity races.
Yeah. So, and then it's split again.
I believe Trucks is still only FS1, correct?
Yep, it's still exclusive. Yeah. So, yeah. So
which is good, because that would continue what's left of Speed Channel, because all the truck races used to only be on Speed, and then they were only on FS1. So
keep the tradition.
At least we got that tradition still going.
Like, I mean, I think a NASCAR exclusive streaming platform would be awesome. I mean, you kind of build off of like all the NASCAR classics. So maybe you build off of that, you put all the races on there too and stuff like that. But I think if NASCAR was exclusively on streaming only, at least in this climate right now, maybe 10 years it'll be different. I still think that's dangerous because you're going to have to ask people who maybe aren't super huge fans of NASCAR to buy a service for a year. And they're like, oh, maybe that's not worth it. I'd rather just watch it on cable, and it's not on cable anymore. And then we're going to lose viewers. So right now, that's maybe not the move. If it's just exclusively on streaming, but the fact that we're now expanding and kind of looking towards what that future could look like and having part broadcast, part streaming, that's fine with me. Like, that makes sense. But
then also got to remember, like, we make all of our money on national TV commercials.
Yep. All those ads.
Which is why there's so many.
Yeah.
That's where all of our money comes from.
Yeah, because the thing I think we all get frustrated about or don't realize, and I would love to actually like write a whole piece about this and like do some investigative journalism with this. Like my college journalism self is like, I want to do the story. But it really is just, the inner workings of how live sports broadcasting actually works. What goes into it? Why do we see those ads? Why do we do ad breaks at certain times? Why do we do certain things? Just for me as well, because I get as frustrated with the commercials as all y'all do, for sure. But there's a reason behind it. And without those, we wouldn't have the sport that we have today because they want to be making money. So there's a reason behind it all. And then I think
I will answer Danny's question about how many networks does the NFL use, because this is a very hot topic right now. So their main ones are Fox and CBS, with Sunday Night Football being on NBC. And then they branched into, what was it? I want to say Prime last year. I think they did Prime a little bit last year, but they just announced that Netflix is going to have 2 Christmas games this year.
Dang. Okay.
So big. which it's crazy. If you're an NBA fan, this pisses you off, because it has forever been a tradition that the NBA has Christmas Day and the NFL has Thanksgiving, but now the NFL is invading Christmas Day.
Yeah.
With 2 games that you have to have. They are only on Netflix. So people are pretty upset about that.
And Netflix.
and then ESPN has Monday Night Football. And then someone's got Thursday Night Football. That might be Prime. Yeah, Prime has
Thursday night.
Yeah. So.
God. It's confusing.
No, and then YouTube TV has Sunday Ticket.
Yeah.
So, and Red Zone. My gosh.
It's a lot. Somebody also had a comment that I wanted to talk about. Oh man, what was it? Oh yeah, perhaps Amazon will have less commercials. Maybe the streaming platforms will have less commercials. Maybe they'll do ads a bit differently. What else though? Somebody else made a really good comment that I thought was cool. Hold on. Oh, there was another rumor about next year's schedule too. Carson Hocevar, when he was streaming, said something about Rockingham coming back, and he goes, "Is that public? Is it not?
No.
Is that news?"
I
So
don't
I mean,
think
we don't
I
know.
don't think Spire Motorsports is ever going to allow him in the media center or on public channels ever again.
No, because that's. I mean, I don't even know if that's actually happening or not.
If that's true, he's probably in so much trouble
Yeah.
for spilling the beans. If
Yeah.
that is true.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, because I mean, if it's true, that's a big deal. That'd be pretty cool. I mean, the short track revival kind of
I would
keeps
love
going.
it. I would love Rockingham to come back. With that, I would
Yeah.
love it. I just don't like that this is how I'm finding out because Carson Hocevar can't keep his mouth shut on a Twitch stream.
No, I mean, I agree with you. I'm laughing, but no, I totally agree with you. It's that's the power of having social media. If drivers having a really good social media presence is one, they have a bigger fan base, they get more sponsors, etc. But they also might say things that they should not, or release industry insight, whether it's true or not, that they should not. So double-edged sword. But anywho, yeah, vote for Carson. He's in the top 5. I'm shocked Justin Haley is not in the top 5 for voting with all of his campaigns and stuff, which for me that makes sense. Not Carson, sorry. Justin Haley doesn't have a huge fan base. And then he had this whole campaign put out. I'm like, whoa, that's the most like out there in the media I've ever seen Justin. So for me, it makes sense. I just kind of hate that they put all that work into that awesome campaign and it didn't seem like it paid off.
Yeah.
But yeah. Yeah, there's other rumors too that we covered. The Athletic posted a whole bunch of stuff that in the future, maybe even next year, that like Richmond could lose a date to Mexico City. The Clash could go to Bowman Gray. There's so many things. I know Mike Joy mentioned something about Bowman Gray too on the broadcast. We're all like, huh? Okay. So I feel like a lot of people are doing a really bad job of keeping their mouth shut. Whether it's true or not, it's just this year because news is happening so fast. We don't know if somebody posted something as speculation or if it's already out or not. Again, price of social media. Regardless, I did want to say, speaking of like schedule Coke 600, stuff like that, all in between, Jimmy Johnson is going to be in the booth for the Indy 500, and then he's going to race in the Coke 600. He's also going to be in the booth for the second Daytona and the second Talladega races of the season, which would be pretty cool.
That's awesome.
My theory is maybe it's an audition, see how he does, put him in the booth in the summer next year with Dale, which actually would be pretty cool. I think that combo would be awesome. Yeah.
Teammates again.
I would cry.
I mean, Dale was with Jimmy in New York when they were going to the Amazon thing. So
as soon as I saw that, I was like, ooh, I'm going to start speculating a little bit.
Could be.
Because I saw that and I was like,
Jimmy's been in the booth before for Xfinity races, or at least one. I mean, I can't see him doing bad. I think he'd be great. Just Harvick, just the amount of knowledge he's got would be phenomenal. I
think he'd balance out Junior very well because Junior is very enthusiastic. I mean, he yells in the booth, like he gets really into it, and Jimmy's very.
I bet you Jimmy gets him going though.
Oh, he should.
Jimmy's got that personality where he will absolutely fire up Junior just because he knows it'll fire him up.
Right. Well, and James makes a point. I mean, Jimmy Johnson should focus on ownership. Yeah, I mean, Legacy Motor Club just moved to a different manufacturer this year. Maybe not the best results, etc. But also Dale Jr. He's an owner of an Xfinity Series team, granted Xfinity Cup. But that's if he would be in the broadcast booth for at least Prime or TNT, for instance. That's only a 10-race stretch. Let's do 4 playoffs hit, etc. So, I mean, if Dale's able to do it, I think Jimmy would be able to do it and do well. Even then, like Jimmy Johnson's part owner with Richard Petty, and there's a bunch of other really smart people, Maury Gallagher over at Legacy Motor Club, that can fill that gap, right? So I don't necessarily see that as a we got a car on the wall. Oh God,
that's Dale Jr.
Yeah, I was gonna say I started seeing the quotes and I was like, I get you guys, I get you. I was like, IndyCar, what? No, yeah. See, I'm ready for these quotes to be back. I'm trying to. You guys have so many comments in here. I'm trying to comb through them and see what I got to pull up. My goodness. Oh, Rodney. Rodney, thanks for joining. NASCAR is a major league like NFL, NBA, all those. Look at of the platforms those leagues are on. Like PPV is racing in the normals now. Like Racing America has those like the codes that you use and pay-per-view and stuff like that. So that makes sense. Yeah, my goodness. Sorry, I'm trying to go into the. Oh yeah, we'll talk about some debuts in a second. Actually, any closing thoughts before we get to the debuts that are happening at Sonoma in a few weeks?
I'll get them.
Cool. There's a lot. I know I'm not very organized today because there's a lot that's going on. If you guys can't tell, I'm not.
It's All-Star weekend. It's kind of a break week. So
it's a break week, and I also want to get to all y'all's.
Plus, you've got the 600 coming up.
Oh yeah, there's the amount of travel that's going to be happening the next 2 weeks. Oh my god, insane! But I'm so excited because, of course, as you all probably know, the whole ATYL crew is going to be there for the Coke 600 weekend. So we're all getting ready.
It's not even a reunion; it's a union because I've never met Rob. I've
oh
never
my god,
met
that's
Rob
right.
in person.
Yeah, you've never. I don't think Adam's met Rob in person either. No?
I don't know. I've never met him.
God. Okay. Well, that'll be super fun. So yeah, I'll be very excited. I'm very excited. So, oh my God. Yes. Can we talk about this real quick though? I mean, just lightly, because we've talked about it all the time, but bring back Alan Bestwick. We did talk about this last show and you made a really good point where it's like, Alan's got to use all this to his advantage. He knows that the fans want him back. Leverage that in a negotiation. Like, yeah, bring him back.
Bring him back.
Yeah, bring him back. Last piece of news I wanted to talk about. Some of you guys mentioned it about Cam Waters. I'm at Sonoma later, or I guess in a few weeks from now. Two supercar drivers are going to make their debuts. Will Brown making his debut at RCR in the number 33, and Cam Waters for RFK in that stage 60 entry. Pretty exciting. Cam Waters, of course, had a Truck Series start. It was Martinsville, I believe. Yeah. Didn't really end well for him, unfortunately, but he didn't do terrible. So interested to see how he does in Cup. And then Will Brown, I'm going to be completely honest with you guys. I don't watch a whole lot of supercar racing. So I'm just excited to see other people that aren't in NASCAR already just try it out. See if they can have the same success as SVG, something like that. I mean, yeah, they're got road courses. So why not?
Brody Kostecki, too, was another one that gave it a shot, too.
Yeah.
Supercar driver. So we'll see if Will can do a little bit better in that 33 car. But I like that there's a lot of these guys coming over to try it. I kind of wish it would be a two-way street and some of the Cup guys would be able to go drive the supercars.
I wish.
think it's really cool, but
our schedule doesn't allow that though, which sucks. Like it
absolutely.
And then with how the schedule's looking at next year as well, like after Easter to like the end of the season, like we're not going to have an off week. That's like 28 straight weeks of or 26 straight weeks of whatever, but it is what it is. So even if they want those opportunities, it's really hard to get them, but
Yeah.
Do you think? I don't think that they can win. No. I mean, like maybe they could, but with that equipment, I don't think so.
Yeah, I don't think
But we said the same thing about SVG, and I mean, he won Chicago. It was a new track though, so everyone was on the same playing field at that point. And it rained. That's true. And it rained. The whole Cam Waters and Lane Riggs. Yeah, that was tough. That's right. Lane Riggs has had he's had such a bad season. I hate it for him because he was looking really good too at like Martinsville as well.
Two guys I really wanted to do well this year. Him and Josh Williams, and they've both been awful.
Yeah. It sucks, man. Oh, yeah. But I really, Lane Riggs, I want him to do so well. It's just been bad luck. Quite honestly, I wrap it up to bad luck.
Sure.
And I wish Rob was here to talk about this, but Justin Bonsignor making his Xfinity Series debut with Joe Gibbs Racing in the number 19 at New Hampshire. I'm so excited. I'm so thrilled.
Rob already knew. I didn't know that though. I
didn't know.
Rob.
Yeah, in the text you're like, oh Lord. And he's like, yeah, guys, I already knew. I'm like, God, okay. All right. But no, that's cool. Yeah. So that's cool. I mean, he is so good in the Whelen Series.
He's incredible in the Whelen Modifieds.
Yeah, he's incredible. And I've gotten into some of the modified racing last year, covering some of that for Racing America, and that was kind of my introduction to it. And I was like, this guy's really freaking good. Like, oh my God, like very impressive. So I'm excited to see what he can do in the Xfinity series. It's kind of, I feel like from a guy from like the Whelen series making a debut in Xfinity at New Hampshire feels really interesting, but also like it feels like it makes sense at the same time. With Joe making a debut with Joe Gibbs feels really odd, but I'm here for it. Like it just doesn't feel like it makes sense, but like
Yeah.
that's fine.
Why not?
Why not? You know, if you have the sponsorship money, why not? Why not? So, anywho, okay. Do you want to you know what? Yeah, let's go through the All-Star race. I told you all when we got to this point, the week before the All-Star race or a few days before it, whatever you want to call it, we would talk about the format in case you are all kind of unfamiliar with it. Now, unfortunately, I don't have a graphic to show you all. So I will be very brief in the discussion, just kind of going through the weekend. So Friday, we have the All-Star Open qualifying. That's at like 5:40 p.m. Eastern time. And then the Pit Crew Challenge at 6:20. The Pit Crew Challenges will set up the lineup for the heats in the All-Star Open. The heat races, there will be 2 of those. Saturday, we have the heat races, which will start at 5:20. And Kyle Larson did announce he will not be in the heat races. He won't be able to do any of that stuff. So or the All-Star Open. He won't be in that either. Wait, no, he won't be in that either because he's already qualified his way in. So he won't be there for that first half of the North Wilkesboro weekend. He will be there on Sunday, though, for the main event, but he will not be in the heat races. The All-Star Open then will be Sunday at 5:30. It's 20 drivers. They'll compete for 2 transfer spots, 100 laps with a break on lap 50. So whoever wins, like the first stage gets in, whoever wins the end of the race or finishes like first in stage 2, I guess, wins, gets into the main event. And then there's, of course, a fan vote. Of course, like vote for Carson, all those types of campaigns you've seen. That's what they're campaigning for, a fan vote in. And then, of course, that night we have the main event. 17 drivers are already locked in. It starts at 8 p.m. It's 200 laps, a break on lap 100, lap 150. So there's all that. Of course, we have different tires as well, which will be pretty interesting. We have like a baseline prime tire, a softer option tire, and wet weather tires just in case Mother Nature decides to be rude, which it looks like she will be. But yeah, no. And then, of course, SVG won't be in the All-Star race. They've decided not to field an entry for him. So yeah, again, like Dom said this earlier this show, the weather's not looking great. We do have those wet weather tires, but
Noah has a great point. The Open lineup is stacked.
It is stacked. I'm stoked for that.
A lot of rowdy drivers in that
Honestly, the heat, not the heat, the Open races are always typically going to be better than the main event. Typically. Because last year's heat races were awesome. Like between Michael McDowell and Ty Gibbs, that was fun. That was a good time.
Ty Gibbs showed his true colors.
Yeah.
As we expected him to do. So
we absolutely expect that. Yep. But I'm excited.
It didn't work out for him.
Yeah.
And we got Josh Berry transferring into the main event in a car that wasn't even his.
Like just the storylines from last year's All-Star race too was just incredible. But yeah, I mean, there's again big names. You got Alex Bowman, sure. Dom, you might have a differing opinion. Ty Gibbs, Bubba Wallace. I mean, key drivers in those heats. So it'll be interesting. I mean, you got those big names, so gonna be interesting.
Hold my fire.
Yeah, I was gonna say, hold your horses.
The stats speak for themselves.
Hold your horses. But even too, like again, like Noah Gragson.
Yeah,
it'll be a really fun one. Big personalities.
I'd love to see Noah race his way in, not get a fan vote in. I'd love to see him race his way in.
A lot of it does depend on qualifying, but then again, like we've seen last year with Kyle Larson, he didn't qualify that great for the main event, and he was able to race his way to the front. Yeah, there you go. That's all it takes. But to see if Noah's able to race his way in, I think that would be huge. 1, a confidence booster for him. 2, if the charter rumors are true and he's having to audition for another spot, that's another add to his resume at another team next year potentially. So very interested. Dom, I know we don't have your projected top 10 because we were just there last year for like that's the first time and it doesn't make sense. But I know you have stats regardless.
Yeah. So
what you got?
Just off the top of my head was thinking of some things. So we've only got 6 former All-Star winners in the field, and that would be Kyle Larson 3 times, 19, 21, and 23. So the trends say he ain't winning this year. He'll win next year. Kyle Busch won in 2017, Chase Elliott in 2020. That was at Bristol. Denny Hamlin in 2015, Ryan Blaney in 2022 without a window net at Texas, and Joey Logano in 2016. So those are our former winners. You asked a really good question before the show. Has anyone won the Daytona 500 and then gone on to win the All-Star race in that same year? So that has happened. Most recently, Jimmy Johnson in 2013. And before that, I believe I said it was Kevin Harvick in 2007. So those are the most recent ones. I'm sure there are more. Right off the top of my head, I remember Gordon did it in 97 with old T-Rex. So
yeah,
the car that
what a
ran
time.
once and never ran again. So those are 2 right off the bat. 3 that I can think of off the bat, but I'm sure there's more out there that I just don't have in front of me right now. And only once has the winner of the fan vote gone on to win the whole shebang, and that was Casey Kane in 2008. But Kyle Larson in 2019 won the Monster Energy Open to get into the main event and won the main event. So we've seen it done both ways. And I mean, anything's possible with the All-Star race, especially now at North Wilkesboro, where now that it's repaved with weather, I mean, we could see absolute chaos in this race if not strung out and leader gets run away with it. We could see an entirely different kind of race this year. And I mean, the way it's been going recently with our races, we might have a banger on our hands for for the All-Star race, and I'm here for it.
I'm anxious, but
my worry is Truex is going to dominate. We're going to get a caution, and then Hamlin's going to jump the start and win.
Oh no, let's not have a repeat of that. Let's not do that.
Could you imagine?
God, yeah.
Those good people in North Wilkesboro would riot.
That would be such a bad situation. It's happened once. Let's not have it happen again, because then, of course, the policing of that incident would also not go over well either. So
No.
I sure hope we don't have that incident happen again.
It's like Dave Chappelle. Even if he did do it, you know what I mean?
You know what I mean? Yeah.
It's like admitting it but not caring.
Oh yeah. So I just, oh God, but it should, hopefully it's a fun event. Someone said, why isn't it getting a points race? Well, the Truck Series has a points race this weekend. There's 37 trucks for 36 spots. There was an entry that dropped out at the last minute. Notable names in that: Eric Almirola is driving for Hattori in the 16. Chastain is back in the 45. This is what I'm excited about. Butterbean. He is, I believe, making his debut in the number 1 for Tricon. So I'm very excited about that. I'm excited to see how he does. And that's also a very competitive truck. I should say a truck, very competitive truck. So I'm excited for that one. Clay Green in the 04, Sammy Smith in the 7 for Spire. Remember, he has that multi-race deal with them. And then making his debut, very excited about this one, Dawson Sutton in the 26 for Rackley War. He's incredible in literally any car that he's in. He's only been racing for a few short years, and being able to make his debut this young in his career is awesome in the Truck Series.
What number is he going to run? 26?
Yeah, so same as his like late model, super lates and all that stuff. Same as that.
For a split second, I got worried. It's like, no way they can tie Dylan already.
No. I mean, performance-wise, but you know, no. But I'm very excited for him. Again, he literally wins in almost everything that he's in. He's very, very talented. One of, in my opinion, one of the rising stars of the sport. That, I mean, he has the talent to back him up. But then again, like I said, he's only been racing for a few short years. Started on the sim. It's another sim to reality story. That's been awesome. A Team Hornaday development driver. And no, this kid's awesome. If you don't know him, make sure you follow him and just learn his story. Super good kid, but very excited to see him make his debut and hope he does well. So yeah, should be a good race there for trucks. yeah, whatever. It's really hard to say who our pick is to win because we don't know everyone who's going to be in the All-Star race with the new pavement. We don't know how it's going to run. There's a lot of unknowns with this.
Mhm.
So I don't know if it's fair to have our picks, but we can at least, you want to say like a manufacturer that we think is going to win?
I'll just say
Oh, he's going to make a prediction.
I've got a feeling. I've just got that feeling that
Uh-huh.
Byron.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
got Byron's name on it this year.
You know, it kind of does. You're right.
I just have a feeling this is Byron's year to win the All-Star race. I don't know why. And that would add to our list of 500 winners to go on and win the All-Star race. But it's got that feeling. It's got that weird feeling like Byron's about to mess around and dominate this thing, isn't he?
You're not wrong. It kind of does have that feeling.
I've just got that. I mean, I could also look at like a Christopher Bell too, even Truex. Like I could see what I'm basically getting at here is like it's either Hendrick's going to stomp on him or Gibbs is going to stomp on him.
Yeah,
one of the two. But I mean, I'd love to see a nice short track battle where 1-2 are really close. They're kind of just moving each other out of the way back and forth for the lead. I don't think we'll get that. Just really doesn't come with this new package and with this car. But I agree. I agree, Danny. Chase Elliott's probably a good pick too.
Yeah.
You know, I think Martinsville kind of showed me he still got that short track feel to him. Yeah, that would be a solid pick. I mean, Hendrick or Gibbs, honestly. Yeah. Hendrick or Gibbs, one of those two teams is going to take it.
And Beer Money is right. Wallace did run pretty well. He did. Yeah. I mean, he qualified. No, he finished second. So yeah. And Reddick, I mean, 23:11 could do really well this weekend. So
yeah,
I don't know. It's a toss up. Part of me kind of wants to see like an underdog win. I don't want to see chaos necessarily, but I am kind of looking forward to seeing if this unpredictable race in terms of like the track, who are going to be the key players again. I was going to say it's either going to be like
Chastain weekend.
It's Byron or Chastain. It's one of the two, in my opinion. You either go with something predictable and like, all right, this makes sense, or add a little bit of spice and chaos into it. Chastain. It makes sense to me. When $1 million is on the line, you know he's going to go for it. You know he's going to go for it.
Imagine how many watermelons you could buy with $1 million.
Oh gosh,
that would just be so cool. I mean, look at how he reacted when he won a truck race at Darlington.
Yeah, and that was a huge
put a $1 million paycheck in his hand. He's gonna go nuts. That would just be so cool.
Yeah.
And
we need
wins for the $1 million. He's gonna race his heart out for it too. If he's given the chance, he is gonna get everything out of that number one car. So
yes,
we'll see.
Yeah, part of me is whoever wins it, we need a good reaction. It's $1 million in today's world. Maybe that's not as much, but like bring some excitement to it, you know?
You know what's going to happen? Chastain's going to have his shot, but he's going to have to pass Denny Hamlin to win it.
It's already scripted. We already know how the story goes.
It's all going to unfold exactly how we expect.
It's going to be Chastain has it. Denny's right behind him. They wreck each other. Byron wins it.
All that for a Byron win.
All that for a Byron win. Again, no disrespect towards Byron. He's one of the best, but
he's good. He's a good
He's
driver.
So good.
William Byron is a good driver. He just drives for Hendrick, and people get sick and tired of seeing him win. He's good.
Yeah.
He's one of the three that's earned their ride.
Yeah. Agree. Oh, God. the nonchalant shade never stops here. It never stops here. But yeah, I'm excited for it. I'm looking forward to it. And then, of course, we did have some questions about our 600 appearances. I will not be working the 600 though. Ben is going to be working the ARCA race, so that'll be pretty cool. But no, this is my one vacation out of the year. What?
Should we get Euro cards made?
No. Well, funny enough, I do have hero cards made because I was bored one day and I said, why not? But we're not going to do that. I might bring a hat though to give away. That might be pretty cool. But yeah, won't be working the 600.
Signed by the whole team. Could you imagine?
That'd be badass though. You could own a legendary hat by all of us here at Above the Yellow Line. How cool would that be?
And in 30 years, when the value of that skyrockets, you can sell it for $7.62.
Yes. Incredible. What an exact number. So yes.
I had to include shipping.
That's okay. I really do appreciate that. Yeah. So the hat would be worth maybe like $3. The rest is shipping. So all good.
You're
But yeah,
paying more shipping.
that's kind of how it is now, to be quite honest with you. It kind of sucks. But
Oh,
we will all
God.
be at the 600. We'll be scouring the garage that much. I love you all. This is so
Oh,
fun.
that's great. That's
God.
awesome.
But, well, we will all be at the 600. We'll be in the garage area during the Xfinity Series races. So we're very excited about that for sure. And we'll be there all weekend long. Trucks Xfinity Cup. Yes.
I did meet a fan in Kansas.
Oh my God, this was the coolest thing.
Yes, we met a fan. I met a fan in Kansas. He was wearing our hat. It was the coolest thing ever.
His name was
And yeah,
Michael?
the one thing, I believe so. I believe it
Okay.
was Michael. Yeah, and the one thing I told him, like, don't be afraid to stop us. Say
Yeah.
hi. I saw the hat. I was like, dude, you're the coolest. I can't believe you're wearing our hat. It's awesome. Yeah, please, if you see us, say hi.
Yeah.
We'd love to chat.
And even too, like, I always get comments when I live stream, whether it's on TikTok or whatever, and it's like, "Oh, I saw you in the garage area at Richmond, but I didn't say hi. I didn't want to stop you." I'm like, I might look like I'm busy and focused, and I might look mad, but trust me, I love when people say hi. It's my favorite thing in the world.
Yes.
So literally stop us, say hi. We'll all be wearing our above the line hats, whether it's the old version, which I did have around me, where it's just ATYL, or those hats that have our signatures on the side, which are like super badass. We will all be dressed accordingly, representing ATYL. So say hi to us. But we hope we see you there. If you're gonna, I know there's a lot of people I think that are going to be at the 600. So, and that could be a place where Ford maybe gets another win. Ben asking in the comments, Ryan Blaney won it last year. You never know. It screams kind of maybe Chevy, maybe Toyota. I mean, it's been a mix the past few years. So
Maybe Joey.
maybe Joey. Maybe he finally gets a win this season. Okay,
So
question for you.
so I can finally go to sleep again.
Do you think he could go winless this season?
The way he's driving right now, yes. The way he
How does it feel? How
this
are you
is as
feeling?
bad as he's been since probably 2017, and that was after he won that year.
That's fair.
He won 2017, got penalized, and just fell off a cliff after that. Yeah, this has been a really bad year for him. I think it's because I've been wearing the Home Depot stuff again. And he's driving like he's in the Home Depot car again, because he was not good in that car either. So
Hey,
it's a shame.
this is a good.
I want to see him win. Mean the world to me to see him win again. I was at his last win. I was at Atlanta last year. Maybe I was the jinx. Maybe I was the reason why he won't win again. But yeah, no, I'd love to see it, but he's just not doing good right now. Maybe the 600. Maybe he can turn it around at the 600.
Maybe back-to-back Penske wins of some sort. I think this is also a good prediction. Maybe Chris Buescher can win it. Maybe 2 years ago he didn't have the best. Yeah. 2 years ago he didn't have the best time. All those flips. But you never know. This year could be the year for him. Also, all the Caitlin Clark comments, I don't understand it. I really don't. I don't see it. Okay, Dom, I don't know if you know this. Everyone on my TikTok thinks I look like Caitlin Clark.
I get it. I get where they're coming from.
God.
I'm not saying that you're like identical, but like I get it.
Yeah. It's the long brown hair. That's it.
You gotta wear an Iowa jersey. We gotta get you an Iowa jersey.
True. Honestly, though, at this point, Halloween costume 2024, Caitlin Clark.
I got my Halloween costume picked out. You got to get the Iowa jersey.
That's fair. Fair.
There you go. See?
Gosh. Yeah, there's a lot of good racing coming up. Yeah, Memorial Day weekend is big for racing. We got Monaco, which I'm sure we will all be watching somewhere. The whole ATYL crew. Obviously, the Indy 500. Last year, I remember we were screaming at our TV in my grandparents' RV, and it was such a fun time. And
New Garden.
Yeah, we were all like screaming, crying.
Come on, Joseph.
God. Yeah. See, those are fun moments. So, to close out, a PSA, if you have a chance to camp at the racetrack, do it. There's so many fun times, so many memories. We won't be able to do that this year, unfortunately. However, it's always fun. Highly recommended. If you can do it, do it. But yeah. Cool. So this has been fun. Thank you all for tuning in and sharing your opinions, thoughts, everything in the comments. It's been so much fun. I need to put this presentation back on. Again, this is all like Hold on. Okay, there we go. Cool. Thanks for bearing with me, guys. New platform, figuring it out. But TobyChristie.com for all your NASCAR news. We're going to keep you up to date throughout the entire race weekend for the All-Star Race Truck Series. Any breaking news that happens, go to TobyChristie.com. We also have some pretty cool stories on there that you won't get anywhere else. So make sure to go there. Same thing with our platform, AboveTheYellowLine.com. We have all of our socials there, information about us, and everything in between. Also, we have a giveaway that can be found at the top of the screen on our website. We'll have more information for you there, but you might have the chance to win some pretty cool race-winning merch in the month of May. So excited about that. But yeah, we'll keep you up to date there at AboveTheYellowLine.com. And of course, all of our socials are on the screen, in the description below, etc. But thank you all so much for joining this episode of Above the Yellow Line Live. Make sure to check us out on social media. Rate us on all podcasting platforms. Would really appreciate that. And we'll chat next week as we preview the 600. And everyone have a good weekend.